Welcome back to Two Dudes, Three Legs podcast with your host, Zach Dingy.
Tony Capoletti.
Today, we're sitting down with another Tony, my man all the way out in Cleveland, Ohio. He runs Fidato Wealth Management, and he's been in the game for how long? 30 years now?
No. I'm younger than that. I've been in the industry now for about 15.
So whether you're starting a business, whether you're trying to make a sports career, whatever it is, it all starts with believing in yourself. And until you have that, you can't do anything.
Step directly into the storm and fight everything you can. You need to be a warrior.
Me and Tony and I met at the Sales Leadership Summit down at the Mar-a-Lago event. And I forget, we were introduced by one of your coworkers.
One of my partners. Yeah, Lindsay. Yeah.
She was like, oh, you got to meet my guy, Tony. He's the CEO of the company. Brings him over. We're talking for like 30 minutes. And then I end up finding out that he also has one leg. And our partner here, Tony, got one leg. So
one in a million shot.
I don't even know you. I love you already.
Oh, you're going to love me even more when I meet you down in Florida at the Volt Conference.
That's right.
We're going to have a good old time down there. Before we jump into the story about how you became an amputee, because I definitely need to know about that. I'd like to know about how you became a business owner, a founder of your own company. Can you tell us a little bit about that? A little backstory?
It actually kind of relates to how I became an amputee, actually. So I was in the mortgage industry prior, and it's a great industry, but I just found myself in a spot where I just wasn't having fun. I wasn't content. And I knew that I had that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. I knew that wasn't my calling. And I was a lot younger then. I didn't know how to figure it out. And I also went through a personal period where I was trying to find Mrs. D'Amico, but I wasn't looking for her in all the right places.
I can relate.
I'll kind of tell the quick story. So I was dating a girl, and beautiful blonde, and sports cars and all that, and the relationship just wasn't healthy. And so I got in a car accident one night, and I was just speeding just to vent, and it was just not a good, healthy situation, and quite it wasn't the right person for me, and I kind of got sucked into that situation that she was in. So, but yeah, I had a Dodge Charger RT that was souped up, and I was probably going about 100 miles an hour, and there was a puddle that I did not see. So the car hydroplaned. I had my foot on the brake, both hands on the wheel, and the car just kept going, blew through. The road came to a dead end, blew through a huge guardrail, and then hit a huge oak tree, like bam.
Oh,
and man, next thing I know, I'm laying on the dirt, and I'm waking up because the fireman had those like smelling salts, and it jolted me up.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, they rushed me to the hospital.
Were you in the car alone, or were you with your girlfriend at the time?
No, I was in there alone, but yeah. So they rushed me to the local hospital, and they were like, yeah, we've never seen injuries that bad before. You need to go to the level 1 hospital. So they sent me there, and they kind of stabilized me. They tried to, so it was pretty bad. I had like these huge metal rods going through my ankle and then through my lower leg, just to kind of stabilize it, because it was so swollen. And then it took about 2 weeks for all that fluid to drain out, and then they put my ankle back together. So I went through that whole process. I went through the 6 months of rehab, and I was not picking up much motion. And I'm pretty active. I mean, now I run, I golf, hike, bike, boating, you name it.
Love that. Sounds like a classic case of amputee madness. We've seen much of it over here. And in this podcast, we've broadcasted a lot of it, And
I mean, the story even gets better. So like going through that whole process, I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work for me. Like what I was functionally able to do. So then I reached out to Walter Reed Hospital and talked to the director of the prosthetic program, and he recommended me to a guy out of Columbus, Ohio, that typically works with like Navy SEALs and airborne rangers. And they did a special kind of amputation called an Erdl procedure. So I have a bone bridge, which is not common. So, anyways, I found out that I could have a normal life if I get rid of my leg.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's a
I'm like,
contradictory statement, isn't
Sounds
it?
backwards, yeah. But we've seen people.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know if you've
really.
ever heard of Footless Joe, but she did the same thing. She went and opted for the surgery to have a better life, and so did our other buddy, whose name escapes me
Steve?
currently. No,
Steve Crawford? Oh. Yeah, remember I sent you a picture randomly?
Yeah, I actually saw the picture of the bridge
Yeah.
in between your tibia and fibula.
Oh, that's right. I shared that with you. Yeah.
I saw that. It's pretty cool. Why do they do that?
It helps with, like, I don't have as much volume change in my leg because it's fixed, right? I can also bear a little bit of weight on the bottom.
One sec, I gotta call my doctor. What the fuck is that about? Why did they do that for me?
But no, I mean, the guys that I met through this whole process, I mean, like I never got their real name because they were all either Rangers or SEALs. So I talked to a guy named Rat. I talked to, other guys, and they all had this procedure and went back to forward combat areas.
Wow.
Because the Iraq War, because this was back in 2006. So the Iraq War was, happening. But yeah, man, just God was watching over me, and I'm blessed. So, but yeah, through that whole process, I actually met my wife before I knew I needed to get rid of it, and that would be better. So I met her after my accident, before I got rid of my foot, and man, I'm just blessed.
So what was
she's
it
awesome.
like in the 6 months between electing to have the leg cut off and when you actually had the accident and had metal rods in your leg? What was that like? Were you active at all? Could you do anything? Was it painful?
I mean, when I had the rods and such, it was brutal. Pain like I've never felt before. Um, it it was just it was a little painful to walk. So I kind of walked not that great. So was it painful? Painful, no, but it wasn't that much mobility.
Was it an easy decision to get rid of your leg?
It really was. I mean, I was looking forward to it, oddly enough, and actually felt better when I woke up. So, I mean, you know, um, faith is a big part of my life, and I felt like just a tremendous amount of peace. Oddly enough, even within a month of my accident, like I just knew that everything was okay, and um, I felt So God's important to me, and I feel like I knew that He had a calling for me, and it wasn't going to be like a mediocre one. So
That's beautiful. Did you find your faith after this accident, or have you always been involved in the church?
yeah, so I'm Christian, but I was before the accident, but it definitely grew stronger.
Why don't you tell your story about the leg? I know we've heard it before on the podcast, but not very often.
So mine was just having too much fun too fast. I bought a sick motorcycle in 2020, and I was riding it home one night from dinner in the dark, just on a back road, and misjudged where I was on the road, thought I was on a bit of a straightaway, figured out I was on a 90-degree turn. But by the time I had processed that, I was in the air doing front flips, because I went off the road on the opposite side of the road, hit a big rock wall, pretty much ripped my foot off right there.
Oh, wow.
And it was kind of wild. I remember it vividly. I landed right on my back. I was perfectly fine, I thought. Went to stand up, fell over, looked down. My leg was mangled, but, thank God my brother was behind me on his motorcycle. He tourniqueted my leg, and I was in an ambulance in like 7 minutes. I was in a helicopter within like 15, and they flew me to a great hospital in this area, amputated my leg, and that was it. I was up and walking again, and well, not walking actually. I was out of the hospital within like 15 days, and then I had my prosthesis within a couple months, and I have a new appreciation for life. It was actually, it's a great thing that happened to me, and as weird as that is, it really changed my perspective on things.
Yeah, that isn't that the truth though, Tony? It's like life was better for me now, oddly enough.
Oh, way better.
I don't know if anybody can really relate to that besides like you and I that have gone through that, but
Yeah.
it's just the little things that you just appreciate more.
So much more. God's funny, man. He's definitely got a sick sense of humor, and he knew how to speak to us. And if it was, taking a foot that made my
Yeah.
life this much better, well, I got another one if you want to go again. I don't know if it could get any better, but
I don't know, man. I think I'm good right now.
Yeah, it's a little different. I feel like 2 legs missing is
that'd be pretty rough.
not the same.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
obviously your life got much better after that event, and I didn't know Tony very well before his accident, but I know all his buddies, and we're all in the same friend groups. And this Tony right here sitting next to me was pretty wild before he lost his leg. Were you pretty crazy before you lost your leg? Did it kind of reset your attitude on life a little bit too?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I was like crazy. Um, I I honestly, it was when you're not aligned, I think, with what you're supposed to be doing in life, it just leads to some severe discontent and just miserable. And that's where I was at. So, and I think I was trying to force like finding a wife because like that's what I wanted to do, find a great person, get married, have children. And yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, I was mad. I was actually mad at God, like ahead of my accident, because it's like, dude, like, why? Like, this is what. So I think yeah, it's definitely it's made me smarter, and it's like even the way that I met my wife. It's like my sister came and she wanted to borrow my pickup truck, and so she brought her friend with her, and because I couldn't use the pickup truck, right? Because I had a busted, foot. And her friend liked me, thought I was a nice guy, and and then she's like, "Hey, but would you be interested in meeting my sister-in-law?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, yeah, just let her know I'm on crutches. What I mean? I'm like, what the hell?
Give her a warning.
I'm not going to turn down an opportunity. And that's how we met. And so I could kind of see, like kind of how that was the plan. Like that was the plan to slow down Tony, refocus Tony, and then boom. And then like it sounds like crazy, but as soon as I saw my wife Amy, like it was a blind date on top of it at my sister's house. So Amy walks in, there's me, there's my mom, my sister, like her sister-in-law who introduced us. And like I just saw and I saw her, like I knew like right then and there that I was going to marry her, oddly enough.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so she stuck with me. And then which was awesome. And then I realized then that so I kind of went from amputee, going through rehab, all that stuff. And then I start my own business. So I went from kind of amputee to self-employed. How stupid is that, right?
I don't know. I think the craziest thing of it all was going on a blind date with your mother present. That's kind of wild.
Oh man, yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know how that all they got set up that way. I don't know.
Well, it worked out. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Did.
And of everything else you said, actually, what really stuck with me is you said it's like God made this happen for you to slow you down and refocus you. And I say that to people all the time. So it's so funny to hear that from another person. Like it like happened for me, and it just refocused my whole life and gave me so much more purpose and direction. But let's shift gears here. Let's move into your business. Tell us about how you founded that, what sparked it, and how you grew it.
Yeah. So I was in finance obviously before in mortgages, and I have a good, I love numbers. I love people. And I kind of learned about, while I was going through rehab and getting ready to, be able to, do something full time again. I learned about this concept of being a fiduciary and what that means, where a fiduciary has to do what's best for their client. It's a legal obligation. It's the highest level of care that the law requires, and there's liability involved. So I'm not just like a product salesperson at all. It's I learned about this concept, and it just like I knew it then. I'm like, that's what I need to do. Um, and so I became an investment advisor in 2010, and I was like kind of part of a platform. So I was an independent advisor, but kind of a part of a platform I could utilize. And um, I, there was a great platform, but I wanted to do more for my clients, and I was gaining a lot of clients. And so we decided to kind of start our own firm in 2011. We went fully independent. So we just saw a huge need for people needing advice that was in their best interest. That's not around a sales process. It's more around a planning process, understanding what's important to you, what your goals are, and then helping you get there. So yeah, that's how we started the business. It was just my wife and I, and we had a one room office, like 500 square feet, and we grew and grew and grew, and now we have a dozen people on the team. We manage about a half a billion of assets, and we love it. We love it. So it's having a business, as it's all consuming, but we really enjoy it, and we help clients achieve goals. And we work with a lot of business owners. We work with a lot of executives, highly compensated, and there's so much complexity, so much stuff, not just investment management, but there's tax planning, risk protection, estate planning. So it's really providing a boutique wealth management experience.
Well, you just gave the formula. I mean, it's very easy to see why you guys have been successful. I believe you just gave the formula to being successful in sales and any type of service is you take people in, you actually care about what their goals are, and then you do everything you can to help them, not to make a sale. And I hope that our guys on our team listen to this, because that's how you grow. That's how people will give you referrals, is when you take them in, you listen to what the result is that they want, and then you do everything you can to help them without yourself in mind. Right. So I'm glad you just said all that. Very cool. I mean, I think the way you do it is a little nuanced to what I'm talking about, but they're all the same principles.
It really is. I mean, once you put, I call it servant leadership. That's one of our core values. If I do what's best for someone and they see me like that, I truly care. Like you said, it's that simple. I mean,
You
who's
call
going to
that
say no?
servant leadership?
Servant leadership.
Oh, I'm stealing that. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, yeah,
I like
absolutely.
that.
No, absolutely. Yeah, you hit it on the head, Tony. It's just like you got to, first of all, you can't fake it if you really don't care about someone.
They
So
smell it.
they smell it. So like one of my goals, and as I add team members, it's like, what's their heart? You know, because you can't really. I mean, yes, you can have an impact on someone's heart, but it's not. That takes a while. But if they truly care, I mean, it's just going to come through. And then if they have the right solutions, probably no difference with your guys' solar business, right? You get to know people, what their situation is, and then you have a solution, and you kind of show them the net benefit. And
I'm assuming it's very similar with you guys. I'm not sure, so I'm going to ask it. In solar, in the industry we're in, it is a very unregulated industry, contrary to your industry, where you can just you could be any random person off the street and just come and sell solar and slap panels on people's roofs and really put people in bad positions if you're not doing it the right way. So, it's very common in the solar industry to have these very, 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 very bad sales reps that have no idea what they're doing, have a bad sales culture, bad company, people going bankrupt. Like, there's so many bad things
Um,
that can happen in solar because the rep doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And it's so
yeah,
common because the average age of a solar sales rep is 22, 23, you know? So
interesting.
it's very difficult, and I think we've done a very good job at not letting that happen overall. We can get into that,
It's
but I'm
actually
more
good
focused
for
on-
us because all the other companies are closing their doors, and we saw
Correct.
what 40% growth over
Correct.
Q2.
We've seen I mean
Wow.
our business model compared to other companies and the way we've done things is night and day. We all referral based. We're in our hometown. We stay in one area. We have customers who all know each other. Like, it's totally different.
And it's all
So-
because we practice those principles you just said.
So
That's
in your
so mad.
industry, do you have that a lot? Do you have a lot of people who get into wealth management and are just like the wild, wild west a little bit and don't really do a good job by people?
I agree with Tony that like that's your guys' competitive advantage, right?
Yeah.
That you have
Service.
that difference between how you guys are doing it, how you're treating your customers versus others. I mean, that's huge because that was one of the big reasons that my wife and I started this firm is there are advisors out there that are not fiduciaries and they don't have to do what's in your best interest. So it's very complicated. There's the fiduciary standard, which is the highest level of care the law defines. There's a best interest standard, which just came out like a few years ago, which is really confusing. And then there's a suitability standard. So here it just has what they sell you has to be generally suitable for you. Like they're not required to put you in a different investment if it's lower cost with better, you know, a better investment performance over the long run, let's say. So yes, we really benefited because we find it, clients working with folks that aren't fiduciaries. The biggest thing that we see is a lot of firms that give what we call light financial planning, where they kind of put together a financial plan using software, and that's kind of the extent of it. So our differentiator has been, we have CPAs on staff. We do tax planning, tax projections, risk management. We work with estate planning attorneys. So really kind of blending that all together. That's really unique in our industry. There's only, I really think the top 3% of firms doing that. But it makes it more difficult for us to find the right team members, right? Because we need advisors that, can handle that complexity, that comprehensiveness. And some advisors just want to take a sales approach and get high commissions. So
That's interesting. I was just talking about this on our leadership call the other day. I was talking about like what our business really is at the core. And people always say like we're in the people business, things like that. But I want to give an example. Starbucks, yes, they sell coffee. Yeah, they're in the people business. But at the end of the day, Starbucks is really or so big because they sell convenience and they sell the personable relationship when you get that coffee, your name, all of that. And in solar, and it sounds like it in your position too, the business you're really in is recruiting talent. And recruiting that high level top 1, 2, 3% of people is extremely difficult and extremely difficult to scale,
Yes, yeah, yeah. Oh man, I wish it was easier, right? I'm sure with you guys, it's biggest challenge in a business is, finding good people. And we have a great team though. I mean, there's 5 partners in our firm that, that they own actual equity, right? And it's real equity. That's not like a synthetic equity. It's they own equity. They get just, they get, profit distributions. So I'm very fortunate. We have a great team, and it's taken like a lot of time to, get there. I mean, and one of the things that Patrick has talked about is like hiring 2 or sometimes even hiring 3. Hope all 3 work, but you probably end up with 1.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of employed that tactic because it's not easy. So, but thankfully I have help. I have a great executive team that takes the brunt of that. So
Good. Well, Yeah, hiring talent is one of the most difficult things I think there is, and I couldn't imagine that there's a great talent pool in Ohio. Like, do you find like there's a lot of high level people? Because when we first talked, I think I said this to you. I'm like, you got a lot of rich people in Cleveland, Ohio. I never would have thought that, but Cleveland, Ohio is very affluent.
We do, yeah, we do. Ohio in general is very affluent, but we also have clients in Florida, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina. So those states are the biggest states that we have clients in. I mean,
Got
the
it.
majority is in Ohio, but I have clients, Illinois. Um, so we have clients in multiple states, which is a lot of fun. Um, yeah.
So, other than your all-encompassing approach that you mentioned, as well as the fact that you guys are fiduciaries, is there anything else that you think sets you apart that makes you a successful company?
So yeah, you mentioned the fiduciary duty, you mentioned the comprehensive wealth management. I would say that it's the culture and the values
Mm.
that we have kind of established in the company, and it's kind of run through the company where, I mean, it's amazing. Like Zach, I know you mentioned that you met, obviously you met Lindsay, one of my partners in Mar-a-Lago, right? When I met you there, like she is just such a and it's honoring, like just a torchbearer for our company, our values, what it's a lot of it's what do you tolerate, and it's just when I see like her and other people on my team, like I don't even have to say anything, and they're talking about a situation, and hey, this is what we would do in this situation, or things like that. um I remember early in the year, we hired two people, and um one's doing really well, but the other one, earlier this year, we made a decision as a team that they weren't meeting our standards. So, and just to see her leadership, and like, yep, this person's got to go. Like, they're not cutting it. Like, this is, here's our environment. They didn't really, they weren't really a team player focused, not collaborative. So yeah, I mean, I think culture and values is important. Like that leadership, having leadership and vision too, which I supply, is helpful, and alignment. So, I mean, there's a lot to this recipe. I mean, having alignment, obviously partners are aligned because they own a piece of the company that puts them on the same side of the table as me. So that's huge.
Mm.
Like that's huge. And not every industry does it make sense to like allow people to purchase equity. Like other industries are different. That's
Yeah.
common in our industry. And I'm not saying that's the answer. There's all sorts of other things because we work with business owners a lot. There's revenue growth awards, there's incentive plans, there's all sorts of things that you can do to create that alignment. And even our advisors, they're on an incentive compensation plan. So, they bring on a new client, they're going to get a certain incentive for the first 5 years of the relationship, in addition to a servicing incentive. So they're incentivized to attract clients and retain clients. And so we're fee based with our clients, meaning that there's like an ongoing fee that we deduct from their accounts that we're managing. The better they do, the better we do. So we have that alignment
Mm.
there.
Yeah.
And then the advisors also too. The more revenue that they're servicing or 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 bringing in, they get paid more.
Yeah.
So it's the creative, that alignment is critical. Um, so yeah, we invested like quite heavily in our equity comp incentive plan. So
Got it.
to get the kind of the best plan.
Comp plan is usually heavily overlooked for businesses as like a tool to really grow. But okay, Tony, give us some free game. If I'm 25 years old, 20 years old, 21, I'm a younger guy, and maybe I'm making six figures. I'm making 100, 200, $300,000 a year. I'm starting to get into a little bit of the upper echelon for my age, and I'm trying to put money away, or I'm trying to take care of myself for the future, what are you setting up for somebody? What are you doing? What can someone take from this podcast and go do?
That's a great question. I love that. You know what? I'm going to answer that question um, in from the viewpoint of what did I do, right? When I started, this business when I was about 34 years old. So I'm 49 now. So um, yeah, I had money. I had some reserves in case of an emergency. But at that time, since my goal was entrepreneurship, right? I had these reserves. I had a little bit invested, but I just really used my free cash to invest in my business. So this is kind of speaking to entrepreneurs, like, you know, yes, I have a portfolio that is a great portfolio, and I invest in the same investments that we utilize for our clients. That's how much I believe in them. So, yes, I have a portfolio. The goal of this portfolio is to average about 9 to 10% per year. So I have that portfolio now. But if I have a, a strategic objective that I want to implement for our company, I will put money there first, because you create wealth through taking concentrated risks as an entrepreneur, and you guys know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always, I you have to keep that focus. And like, we've had the chance to sell our company in the past, and we never have. I mean, I could have and not like had to work again, but I love what I do, and I make great money, and I love leading people. I'm a builder. I'm a visionary. Um, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're an entrepreneur, invest in your business, and then as you get results, start building that portfolio, right? So I'm insulated, right? If something happens with my industry, which there's no signs of that, because there's a high demand for quality advice. I have this diversified portfolio that's not tied to my industry. So, some people choose to just put all of their money in their business, and there's nothing wrong with that. I personally think the smart thing to do is focus on your business, but then as it grows, build a diversified portfolio. Um, that's liquid too, because when you own a business, right, it's not liquid. Uh, so I like having a liquid portfolio. So I got money that's working for me. I'm not doing anything for it, but it's not going to grow by 30% like my company could.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay with that though, because it's diversified. So that's the particular approach that I take. Um, I I know how to invest in stocks, bonds, and real estate very well. In my opinion, I have to say that for compliance reasons, right? Because we're highly regulated. Let me rephrase that. I feel very comfortable with that, and that's what I feel like where I'm proficient at. So I stay in my lane. You know, there's other investments out there like
Yeah.
Bitcoin and things like that. And I just haven't gotten into it because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have this business that was yielding that a return, then I might focus more on it. So you kind of have to know, like, so whatever your investing strategy is like, how does that typically work? What's the ride like? So if it's Bitcoin, like, look at the history, look at, hey, how much up and down percentage wise does it go, and just know what you're kind of getting into.
There's so many ways to get rich and to become wealthy in today's world. It's not even funny. You can get rich doing crazy things today's world. But when you talk about like the entrepreneur side, it's funny because I think you're starting to hear this message more and more that if you really want to be wealthy in today's world, and wealthy doesn't mean $100 million. If you want to have $5-10 million by the time you retire, or just, maybe by 40, 50 years old, you don't want to wait till you're 65. There's no other way to do it than to go increase your income first. Like, you got to get in the right vehicle. If you're making $100,000 a year and you're saving $15,000 a year, you're never going to be at a point where, in my opinion, you're never going to be at a point that you're like super wealthy lifestyle and you get to really enjoy life. You just kind of are putting money away and like you'll retire okay, but I don't think that's many people's goals anymore. Maybe that was, our parents' goals. That was the goal, was to put money away and retire and have a good life, quote unquote. But the new like thing is to be rich when you're young. And the only real way to do that is to go find something that prints money. And investing is investing. It's going to make you money. It's going to help you. You're going to grow with it. But if you don't go out and find something where you can really increase your income by 50, 60, 80, 200% per year in a business, in sales job, in something where like it's really fueling you, then I just don't think you're ever going to be at a point where you're super happy where you are financially. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. Absolutely. When you look at like when you look at people that have more than 5 million, they were either in sales or a business owner. And that's what we see too, even just doing what I've been doing and seeing hundreds of families over the years. You have to be in the right vehicle, like you said. You're not going to get ahead on, unfortunately, by just saving 15 grand a year. Like that doesn't, you know, some people are, some people are good with it, but I'm right there with you. You got to be in an industry that has upside.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm saying that specifically because, of course, there are people that, are teachers or have good jobs where they need to put money away and retire, and I get that. But those aren't the listeners of this podcast, and that's not the people we're speaking to. The people we're speaking to are people that, like, you got to go do something yourself first before you start worrying about stacking money away. And, like you said, it's concentrated risk. I don't believe that I have a lot of risk because I do so much work on myself and on my skill set. And I think that's the highest return on any investment you can have because you can control it. And the only risk you have is if you're ignorant to the ways to get successful, or you don't go to things like the Sales Leadership Summit, the Volt, read books, study, make the right connections, be in the right environment, all of that. If you have all of those things, it's pretty hard to fail if you just don't quit, if you just keep doing it.
And like the reason why you're so successful, Zach, is like you have that mindset like, hey, I don't know everything. Let me go to Sales Leadership. Let me go to Vault. Let me find out what this person's doing. And that's key, right? You got to hire the best consultants and advisors around you and continually learn. I mean, I love that. I mean, that is key. That is key. That's great.
And there's no better place to find it than Sales Leadership Summit and Volt Conference. Puts on a show. A lot of good people I've met there, man. A lot of good people I've met there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're looking forward to the Vault. But I mean, SLS was awesome. I mean, the takeaways were just outstanding. I mean, we definitely beefed up some things and adjusted kind of how we review our pipeline of opportunities and all from that. So that was awesome.
Pretty pissed I didn't go to the SLS. Hopefully we'll have another one next year.
Yeah, you were supposed to go and you didn't come.
Nope. And now I'm paying the same amount to go to the Vault.
Where are you sitting at the Vault? Did you get your tickets already?
Yeah, we got this. My wife and I are going, so I got the CEO tickets.
Got it. We got founders, so we'll be close, but not up in the big room with you.
Yep.
That's all right. Well, I will definitely have to connect for sure.
Good. So, all right, let's go back for a second onto the business. You started the business in a pretty difficult, it sounds like, time of your life. What is that like? Like, take me through the first year, 2 years in business when you go out on your own. I don't know if you were just married then or still engaged or getting whatever was going on there, but you're in like monumental parts of your life. What is that first couple years like in business?
Dude, straight out freaking hustle. Just straight out hustle all the time, putting on presentations, workshops. My wife is doing it with me. I got basically car accident 06, got married in 08. We had our son in 09. And then 09, I was like, yeah, that was kind of like when my disability ended, which was a godsend that I had disability insurance. But then the disability ended. I'm like, yeah, let me just be let me go into entrepreneurship, but just hustling. I mean, I take my son Anthony, like I was giving presentations in Dallas. It's like, boom, he was on a plane. He was 2 months old. Like we're out there. Amy's out there. We're just hustling. We're doing presentations. We're doing workshops. We're setting appointments. I'm learning how to, how do I take a prospective client through a planning process? How many meetings? What do we accomplish in each meeting? Okay, that didn't work. They didn't engage with me. Okay, what did I learn there? Amy, what did I say here? What should I do something different? Blah 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 blah. All those things for several years, and then you just refined the process, and then boom, we figured it out, and we figured out what the market wanted as well. The market wanted this comprehensive care, and it was just solid growth.
What's your why at this time? Why are you getting up? Why are you going to work so hard? What's fueling you?
I knew that that's the path I should be going. So I felt that peace. So I have felt peace, but yet I was in survival mode, right? Because I did really well in the mortgage industry. So my disability insurance was awesome. I went from this big fat monthly paycheck to nothing. And I'm like,
against the wall.
Back against the wall, one leg, wife, baby. He's just trying to make it happen. Like really, it was survival, but I also felt peace because I started doing like pretty well and having traction.
It's right? So weird. It's like when you got the most shit going on, but you're just focused on one main thing. Yeah. It's like this. It's peace. It is what it is, right. You know?
And I asked that question purposely to make this point. We keep talking about this. We just, on our management meeting the other day, we were talking about the most successful guys in our company are married with a kid. All the shit that everyone says you shouldn't do when you're trying to hustle. But I think everyone's got it wrong. You got one leg, right? And I was in the same boat, one leg, back against the wall. You got one option. Get out and go fucking make it happen. There's no better fuel. And then I just happened to have a kid. I met my now wife before I started making good money, when I was still figuring things out with one leg. And man, that shit is fuel. I think I can give this advice because I'm not a fiduciary. You want some fuel? Go find a nice woman and get her pregnant. And you're going to work your balls off.
I love that.
Yo, that's a good investment strategy, man. Right there.
That, I'll tell you what, that's the best investment that really God's blessed me with, is a great wife, because she fuels me, I mean,
man.
We fuel each other. We push each other. And so it's awesome. But yeah, I mean, back's against the wall, got to make it happen.
No better fuel.
And I felt great about it, So yeah, it was fun. And there's, just to let you know, Zach, there's talent in Ohio, man.
I could tell. He was like, why are you talking about Ohio like that? You got to shut your ass up.
Yo, and I'll tell you why. So we spoke about this a little at the Sales Leadership Summit. I don't know where we were at that point exactly, but I was trying to grow a team in Cincinnati and Columbus area. And holy smokes, dude, I couldn't find people at all in that state to save my life. We just could not find talent, and the people we did were liars and
Tony took all the talent. He found all the talent.
Yeah, you took them all.
You're too late.
But they just, everybody Ohio was a rough office. The roughest I've ever had in the company so far.
I'm still so happy that I was not part.
Yeah, that one was a brutal one. I lost a lot of money in the state of Ohio and haven't gained it back yet.
Yeah, it might be easier in Florida or Texas or other parts, but I don't know. So I guess
Yeah, so it's interesting. The whole, when you go through 06, 07, 08, 09, you said all those things happen. The kid, your leg, you meet your wife, and you're just kind of like in this fire for a few years, and then when do you really make it out? Like, when do you make it back to where you were before that industry? When do you get comfortable? How long does it take for you to really feel like, okay, we're good, like we're good?
That's a good. I mean, I like. I don't know. That's a really good question. Um, like I'm just so hungry. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
I feel like we'll
if
never
you,
feel
if
that
like,
way.
That was the answer. I was seeing what he was gonna
like
say.
yeah, you know, financial results wise, I should feel very comfortable, but I don't. I don't. I don't.
It's a good sign.
Like I don't. Like yeah, I. But it's not about money. It's about building something. It's about impacting lives, and then the financial benefits always follow that. So it's a sign that you are doing the right things, right? I probably need to work on, you know, I'm a little bit of a driver, so I think sometimes I need to maybe a little more fun time. But I, you know, I do have fun. But yeah, it's. I mean, when did I get comfortable? I mean, there was phases like hiring our first employee who was with me for a decade, which was awesome. You know, that created uplift. You know, it was definitely hard finding the advisors that I have, you know, kind of finding the right people. But, you know, you get, I don't say not comfortable, but you kind of hit these phases where it's like, oh, boom, we got this. And man, we accelerate to the next level. But yeah, I'm never comfortable.
Mm.
Me neither, man. I almost feel like the more as I continue to hit these marks and marks and marks, I'm hungrier for the next one. And
Hmm.
I'm less content with I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but I'm less content with what I've accomplished, not with what I have. But I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, if I can do this, geez, if only I had this mind state 10 years ago instead of just finding it one, I
Hmm.
feel behind. And then we go
Yeah.
to an event where PBD's on stage talking and you see what he's accomplished and you
Yeah.
realize, man, in the grand scheme of things, I still haven't done anything.
Yeah, and man, I say that to myself too. It's like in the grand scheme of things, like yes, I've accomplished a lot, but compared to some other folks, you know, they have, you know, the comparison thing can work against you too. So, and I'll be honest with you guys, it has worked against me at times where I'm like, hey man, um, I our revenues are X. Here, I know where the value of our company is. And if I compare myself to other people, right, that can work against you, you know. So I've found a lot of value in having goals to push me forward, but measuring backwards. So
Can you break that down? Because it sounds like a much healthier way to push yourself forward instead of comparing yourself to the larger fish.
yeah, yeah. Well, like one of the things that struck me is my wife pulled up one of our like our tax return from like 7 years ago, and I don't know why she had it up. I think every after so many years that she, you know, they you don't even keep them or whatever. So she handles that stuff with our CPA. But she was like, "Hey, look at our revenue that year. Look at our revenue now." And I was like, "Holy shit!" You know. Um, so just I think it's important to measure backwards, whatever it is. Could be revenue, could be the quality of the team that we have. It could be, you know, even my like I measure backwards with like my son. Like he gets good grades. He's involved. And I look back at kind of where he was. He's 15, but you know where he was, he just continued to make improvements. You know, like a good sign is what are the fruits of your efforts, right? If there's fruits there, then you got to keep going. So yeah, that's my take on it. But I've kind of made that mistake of comparison, you know.
I think could be a huge takeaway for anyone listening is instead of comparing yourself to the other big fish because, frankly, you're never going to win that race. There's always a bigger fish. That's an endless cycle where you'll just never find happiness. Is if you compare yourself to where you were a couple of years ago and you continue to do that, as long as you're getting better and better, you're in the right position.
Yeah. And for me, it's quite simple. It's like relationship with God, my health, my family, having fun, impacting lives. Am I building something? Do I feel inspired with the vision I'm casting?
Mm.
Yeah. Those 7 things. If I can do that, like then, all right, well, maybe my net worth is X and I wish it was, Y. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I mean, you just hear so many stories too. It's like, I don't really play the lottery, like maybe once a year, but like, it's like, I almost rather not win, you know?
It's got to be an
So,
empty
Yeah.
feeling with that money, I would think. Because
exactly.
what do you
I'd
do
rather,
after?
exactly. So if I won the lottery, here's what I'm doing. I am making some huge investments in our company and
Mm.
just really, really, scaling it. So I could see us having, an office in Florida, an office in Texas. So we're close to that. We're
Nice.
close.
So that brings me to my question. Perfect entrance. What you're 49 now. You're super inspired still. You're on the uphill. Um what does the next 5-10 years look like for you? What's your next 5-10 moves?
I love that question. Um, we have a great team at Fidato, and we've put a lot in place over the past year, have invested a lot of money um, in infrastructure, team, technology. So it's really, I want to help our team just accelerate our growth, keep the culture here phenomenal. Um, and again, I have my torchbearers that are doing that, and I'm here as well, obviously. So it's to really growth. I mean, I if I whenever I stress about or have a like, hey, I want to grow by X percent, or we want to add X 100 million in assets under management, that never really pans out. But if I more focused on impacting lives, driving growth, the results come. So I just want to continue to grow it, add more partners. Right now, my wife and I are kind of the founders. We're generation one partners. We already have generation two partners. We want to start developing generation three partners, right? So want to continue to build this in a way that we're here for our clients' grandchildren's grandchildren, right? Because a lot of our clients have multi-generational wealth. So and having fun. I mean, I can, my goal in 4 years is to, live in Florida during the winters but commute back once a month and be fully active, fully engaged, working, not working one day, not working, working every day. But that's my goal long term. And to, have other offices, I think would be great. And really just enjoy the ride. As long as we're impacting lives and we're building, then I'm good.
Love that. All right. Well, this is the last one we got for you.
Go ahead, sir.
At the end of the day, what is your one message to everybody out there? One bit of advice you're broadcasting to the world. What is it?
You guys are freaking cool, man. We gotta talk more. I like this.
We're going to have a lot of fun. I can tell when we come down and see you at the vault. We're going to have a
Yeah,
lot
like,
of fun. We got a lot in common, by the way, Tony, like a lot more than I think you know based on what I've been hearing from you. So I'm really looking forward to talking to you.
likewise. Man, if I had to pick one thing, like like discover your purpose,
Mm,
go after it, man. Go freaking after it. Don't don't look back. Don't compare. Just go after it, man. 100% laser focus. know what's important to you as well. Go after it and know what's important to you. So
I love
I kind of
that.
told you mine is, God, health, family, impact, fun, and keep it simple.
Yep.
So I gave you 3 things.
No, well,
Great.
listen, that's a lot more concise than some of the other answers we've got with that one. I've had people go on for 15 minutes, and I'm like, so
you gonna say anything?
Your mic was cut off. You ain't allowed to talk. So where can people find you? If someone wants to schedule a consultation with you or meet with you or find you on Instagram, do you have socials? Do you have a website? Where can people find you?
Yeah, our website is a really great resource, fidatowealth.com. You can schedule an intro call right there on the website through our calendar link. And I mean, yeah, if we can add value, or if you just have somebody has questions, we're happy to do that. If you guys can tell, I am a business owner, so I work with business owners. I work with highly compensated salespeople, executives, just helping them go to that next level, whatever that next level is for a business owner. I don't just work with business owners when they have a liquidity event. I do that as well, but I also work with them that they're looking to accelerate their growth. Maybe they need a comp plan, maybe they need a valuation, maybe they need to adjust incentives. So I have a whole team out of Denver that I utilize for business owners, where we kind of go on site, really help them understand the key value drivers of their business. Like what is going to drive value to that company, and helping them identify that. Sometimes they don't have the comp plan. Sometimes they don't have a comprehensive benefits package. So we kind of find whatever's missing for them to accelerate that growth. I love that, because that's what I've done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, go to the website, fidatowealth.com, and yeah, I'd love to help if I can, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tony. It's good to see you again. I know we're going to see you in about a month and a half. But
I gotta ask, what's Fidato stand for? What is Fidato?
So Fidato means fiduciary in Italian.
I knew it was something. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Tony. Well, I really can't wait till I get to meet you in person. Maybe we'll take you out for dinner while we're down there. Hopefully we can sit down and do dinner. I know it's going to be crazy when we're there.
That'd be great.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Tony. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you in a month or so, all right?
Thanks, guys. Much love.
Later, man.
Take care,
Thanks,
brother.
Tony.
Ciao.